Hello, Fausto Botelho here, broadcasting from Brazil, and we have news. Apparently, the S&P is thinking again of the coronavirus, and it's getting a little afraid that it could harm the global economy. That's what we've seen so far in these intraday 15-minute chart. Let's make it an hour chart. We see almost the same, right? But so far, to see what may happen to the S&P, we have to go to the daily chart, which is here. And well, first thing that we notice is that the market has reached the triangle's objective. Objective could be projected from this ascending triangle. I've drawn recently this trend line here, the channel supportive trend line, and it really seems like a nice channel to be watching now. The thing is that if the market breaks this support trend line, it is probably coming back to 3000, which is the former, actually it's 3020, 3000, which is the former resistance of the ascending triangle, and also the resistance of the tops that happened since January 2018, above which I have said many times that the market shouldn't have gone, but it did. And so let's see what happens with this probable correction that we're seeing here. Actually, before that, when I took a look in the markets, I was going to say that these seemed, after this top has been breaking, these seemed like a drift pattern, so I would expect a correction, but it is apparently happening on a more violent way. And as far as I know, as far as news are concerned, this is happening due to concerns of the coronavirus. If we take a look on the situation of the virus, there's this site here, Worldometers, which give us a more interesting numbers. 70,000, 75,000 cases, 2,130 deaths, recovered 16,000. One interesting thing is that when you look at closed cases, you see 19,000 closed cases and 16 recovered and 2,130 deaths. So that's 11% deaths. Very far from the number of 2% that people were saying. The number actually of 2%, the number of deaths has to be calculated whenever the epidemic is completed, whenever all the cases have happened so far in terms of epidemic, and the deaths have been counted. But that's in the end. It can't be calculated in between. It can be the most estimated. So that's the numbers so far that frightened the market. That seems to be escalating, but I think the thing that provoked this fall in the market was the fact that debts are increasing outside the mainland China. So that interests to the crypto space, because whenever the market corrects, whenever the market eventually crashes, there's going to be a huge flight for quality. And this, as we can see in the market, in the dollar, it's already happening. Look at the dollar. That's people getting out of other investments, other currencies, and going back to the safety of the US dollar. The guy that used to be safer in the last crisis, 2008, when its owner owed $9 trillion. Now it owes $23 trillion. So it's not that safe anymore. And the theory is that whenever we have this flight for quality, eventually a small fleet squadron of these big flight for quality may eventually land in the very small airport of the cryptos. And well, there's $100 trillion in the stock markets around the world, or 90, doesn't really matters. And so if you imagine that 1% flies to the crypto space, that's $1 billion. And market cap of Bitcoin, market cap of all the cryptos is $280 billion. Let me take a look here because I'm curious now. I'll invite you to come along. I'm going to coin market cap, and here we can see market cap is $278 billion. So if a trillion enters the market, that's 1% of the stock market money. Then there's another $8 to $10 trillion of gold. So another 10% of gold is another $800 billion. So cryptos can explode. And by the way, I don't know if coincided or not, but let's take a look here in the 15-minute chart and see what time that happened. So we'll go back to the 15-minute. Well, let's imagine that the market starts to frighten. Over here, it was 13:15 here in Brazilian time. 13:15, quarter after 1 o'clock. And now I'm going to Bitcoin, and I'm going to be watching the 15-minute chart as well. And at this time, 13:30. So almost at the same time, Bitcoin felt, and then it went up. It felt like 1.7%, and then it went up 3.1%, and now is falling again 1.4%. Yeah, lots of volatility. So if you want to be in the market, you have to, give leeway to your stop loss order. You can't, put your stop very close to the market. If you're trading in BitMEX, actually, if you open an account in BitMEX, please use the link below. You'll be helping the channel as we get a small percentage of the commissions that you provide there. And of course, for you, it doesn't change anything. But if you're trading there with leverage, don't put your stop very close. You know why you put your stop very close? Because you're over trading. So don't over trade. Trade whatever, in a situation in which you can put a stop. So calculate the size of your position so that you can place a stop below a important support, considering that if eventually this stop is reached, you're going to lose no more than 2% of your whole Bitcoin capital. Yes, because the thing is, don't lose your capital, don't lose money, don't lose Bitcoins. That's what has to be in your head. And then there's the other things, you know, and then eventually you're going to make money. But the first thing is, don't lose your capital. Unless you have infinite capital, plenty of, and you're trading very, very small, and you're destinated a very small percentage of your whole capital to trade there, and you're playing. Oh, don't consider that you're playing, because whoever comes to the market to play, is already having fun. So no need to make money. Come to the market and look at it in a professional way. It takes time. Yeah, it takes time. I'm spending a lot of time now that I think it's out season in order to place my positions and place the stops, and then look at the market, see if it's already time to raise the stops, putting all marked on my charts. It takes time. It's a lot of work to do, but it's worth, right? So let's take a trip in the cryptos now. I have just recommended buying Bitcoin because I understand this was a reversal. If we come to the hourly chart here, you see that the market reversed. Actually, it reversed yesterday whenever it broke the support and then came back. Then it went sideways, and I think this was a confirmation. This other small flash crash here was another confirmation of this reversal, which, by the way, is happening right on this support trend line. Well, it's happening at the support trend line. One could argue, but hasn't it been broken already? No, because I think you could manage these line over here or over here. So that would be happening. And if you go to the hourly chart, then it's more clear that you can manage a little bit, even though, because these are wicks and not real bodies, right? So if we just put the support trend line in the real bodies here, like in here, for instance, you see that the market it's there, it's testing. And of course, I also consider that in terms of Bitcoin, I understand that was wave 4 that we can see here in the weekly chart, right? Considering that starting in $5 here in 2012, we've had so far wave 1, 2, 3, 4. That was a corrective wave. Wave 4 now coming back to the daily chart. So that's the corrective wave. And now we're heading to wave 5. And so far we've had wave 1 of wave 5, and now wave 2 of wave 5. Wave 2 corrected 50%. So it's a bullish environment. So whenever you have a bullish environment, whenever you have any indication in a support trend line, you enter the market, right? So that's one asset that we recommended. And we also recommended so far Ethereum a couple of hours ago. The objective is here at 31. That's the hourly chart. The recommendation was based on the hourly chart, but look at the daily chart. We've so far have break this resistance trend line, and I think this is an accumulation pattern. The objective is 0.31, which is the last upward movement projected above, but the market could easily come to this next resistance level here at 36, meaning that there is a potential of around 36 would be 35% or 17%. We've also recommended Tezos because, as we can see in the daily chart here, well, the market went sideways, and then it broke this we could call a rectangle, huge rectangle, long-term rectangle, and that projects this upward movement over here, which would mean that the market, let us zoom up a little bit here, there's a potential of a gain of 115% approximately. And so another thing that to be considered is that this market, Tezos, didn't feel the drop, the flash crash of Bitcoin that happened yesterday. It fell just a little bit, then it went up again. Now it corrected a little bit, but I think this is an accumulation pattern, and we should go further away, further up. Now, the cryptos that we're taking a look at, I remind you that I've done my homework before every video. I analyze all these charts here. Crypto 1 and Crypto 2, these are basically the 40 most liquid in terms of market cap, of coin market cap here. So we come as far as Ravencoin, for instance, or MySgo, also Algor, it's there too, Waves, around 50. Nano, I think it's there too. But we only analyze the cryptos that are in Binance. So back to the charts here. These are the ones that we're keeping an eye on. Organizing in alphabetic order, putting everything in daily chart. And here goes, BitShares. Yeah, this looks like a flag. So we're keeping an eye on it because of that. The potential would be for it to go to this resistance level here. And that would be from here to there, 213%. If you catch it over here, more or less, there's still 150% potential for it to go up. Cardano, I've just read that there's a fork coming on for Cardano. Break for a glass of water here. Well, I understand the market is testing this resistance trend line, and it is stopping here. It's not coming down, so I think that's going to be a pullback to this resistance trend line. So whenever we have a good indication in this situation here, that could be the breaking of this resistance trend line, I think it's worth thinking of putting it, adding it to the portfolio. Link. Well, we're keeping an eye on Link. I think, well, there's this ascending triangle that projects this objective here is 0.00132. And this is a accumulation continuation pattern in my understanding. If you go to the hourly chart, you're gonna see a ascending triangle. So I think it's actually it's a good time to buy it right now, because you know we senior technical analysts in a ascending triangle don't enter the market whenever the resistance is broken. We enter whenever the support trend line is holds, whenever there is a reversal, a candlestick reversal in the support trend line, which is eventually what is happening right now. So that could be a very good time to buy, and a wonderful situation because you have so far a stop which is 3.4% away, which is very rare in the realm of cryptos, as you know. So this one I'm going in order not to forget, I'm going to put it smaller here, so I will remember that I eventually should recommend a long position to our customers. Lisk had this spectacular rise, and well, I thought it was flagging up, but maybe it's doing a correction with an ABC. So reversal anywhere over here would be taken into serious consideration for a long position. Litecoin, well, Litecoin, you know, had this descending triangle here that was broken, and then market came back, producing a bear trap over here. It was then testing these resistance levels here, which are very important. There's a huge resistance zone range here. So it is, what is it doing? It started with a drift pattern. Then I thought it was going to a rectangle, but now it is apparently, is it breaking the support of this rectangle? So it's not a rectangle anymore. Ciao. And I'm not keeping an eye on you anymore, Litecoin. Whenever I want to take a look at you, you're right over here waiting for me, right? So no problem. So back to the ones we're keeping an eye on. We go to NEM that broke this downward trend channel here, trend line of this trend channel is bearish trend channel, and now is eventually making a pullback over here. It would have to hold in this support at 600 satoshis. If it doesn't, if it produces a candlestick reversal here, it's a candidate for our portfolio as well. NEO, well, NEO made a triangle that is going into a rectangle, but it is testing now the 150,000 satoshis, 0.0015 Bitcoin, and I think this is a flag, but depending on how it closes today, it will have produced a bull trap over here in this resistance level. So I'm going to forget about it. But if it comes back and closes in the high, it will still look like a flag, and that could be a candidate to our portfolio as well. Waves, different oscillation situation here for waves, not very common. It went up after breaking this resistance trend level, kind of drift here, came down, back, and then it went up like hell. And yeah, I think it's flagging up, don't you think so? This really looks like a flag, isn't it? Or a pennant, or an accumulation pattern, a continuation pattern. So it's eyes on the hourly chart. See what happened. This is also looking like a head and shoulders also. So it comes down from here, bye-bye. But we're keeping an eye on it. And finally, Zcash, which is, we could say it's testing. I think it broke this resistance trend line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches, and then it breaks, and it's probably coming back for a pullback. But this is looking like a reversal. Actually, we had a reversal here, an engulfing pattern that has not been confirmed so far, but the opposite didn't happen as well. So this is probably a rectangle. So eye on the hourly chart. Whenever we have an indication, time to go. Actually, here in the hourly chart, this looks like a rectangle as well. So back to the daily chart, these here, in the hourly chart looks like a rectangle. These here. Let's go back to the hourly chart. It's here. See? So, well, so what conclusion can we make? The conclusion is that yes, this is probably a rectangle, and this rectangle is going to be confirming the breaking of this resistance trend line, which allow us to draw Fibonacci lines and eventually imagine that the market could come back to its first Fibonacci retraction level. That would be over here, meaning a upward potential move of 67%. And the timing for that would be right here. Actually, as I said, with the ascending triangle, we senior technical analysts don't buy in the breaking of the resistance of a rectangle, of an upward rectangle. We senior technical analysts, the SEALs. I tell my students that they're SEALs, you know, the military organization in the US. Top militaries are the SEALs. We're SEALs technical analysts. So where do we buy in an upward rectangle? Yeah, whenever we have a reversal here in the support level of an ascending rectangle. And by the way, I think it's time to buy Zcash, because if that's a rectangle inside a rectangle, that's a rectangle in the look at that. That's a rectangle in the hourly chart, but it is happening inside this big rectangle in the daily chart, which is this one here. Rectangle within a rectangle. Rectangle is going to end up breaking the resistance resistance level over here, right? And what's the time for one to enter the market? Well, the intraday just produced a bear trap here and went up. So if you want to wait a little bit more, then draw. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. So now that's the rectangle of the hourly chart. And whenever the market breaks these, or eventually whenever it breaks this resistance level here, put it on. So if you're not a subscriber yet, please subscribe to the channel. Click the bell so you'll be advised whenever we produce new videos. And tell your friends about this Brazilian guy that does this technical analysis, simple technical analysis, but with 42 years of experience on charts. I founded a company in 1983, and but before there, in 1977, I was in London to race a regatta, ocean sailboats, and as I was there, I went to a trainee in Conti Commodities, and from there I went to Boston, to Cambridge, and there in September 1977 I had my debut with technical analysis. Didn't leave it since then. And then in '83 I founded my company, and it was a charts magazine company. And then it evolved to a platform, and here we are. Here I am, trading using technical analysis every day. So tell your friends about us. Help us increase the number of subscribers. And of course, give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Thank you very much. See you next time. Ciao.